Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tiff Talks Tech. Today is a solo episode, and I'm going to be diving into a critical topic for everybody in multifamily, which is spotting the red flags when choosing vendors. I know I've shared this so many times before, but I worked on the operator side for 5 years. And during that time, oh my gosh, vendor management was something that I hated it. There were so many things that I had trouble with. First of all, I'm just going to talk about this because I'm sure that other people struggle with this, but early in my career, I didn't know if I wanted to stay in multifamily. I know so many of us talk about how we were thrown into multifamily. We didn't know we wanted to be here and we're still here. And I love it now. But at first, my thought was, I don't want to market apartments. This is so random. Is this for me? And so I would go out with my boss with vendors, and I just felt like they were ignoring me. And so I would kind of tune out a little bit. It's not my favorite thing. I was super socially awkward. And I learned so much during those times. But really, I'm the one that they needed to be wooing because I was the one who was doing the research and deciding if this was a product that I wanted to sell up the chain of command. So really, they probably shouldn't have been ignoring me. But I was so young. And again, I would kind of zone out. So I just didn't really know if this is for me, which is probably not the best thing to actually admit, but that's where I was. And so there was a lot of red flags that I identified while working with vendors. I have been a vendor myself and worked alongside other vendors, hosted events with others. And there are some things that I think you really got to look out for. And when you're pouring all this money and time into onboarding and implementation, you really have to make sure that that's the right partner for you. I've talked about this before as well, but vendor partners, they're partners and they need to be the experts. So having someone you can rely on is critical. Very, very critical. So I have a process when I'm vetting vendors. I need to look at least three, at least. And it depends on what you're looking for, what technology you're trying to settle on. Because if it's an AI supplier, there's so many different ones out there. There's ones that may be a free add-on. There's ones you may need to pay a little extra for. There's ones that can do different aspects of your business. So it just kind of depends what's out there, but please compare and contrast. You've got to do that. And you've got to ask questions. You've got to sit down for a demo. It's my least favorite thing. Again, when I was early in my career, I wasn't really sure if I cared. So I would just kind of sit there and pull out my phone and text and whatever. Like, you're all showing me the same thing. So show me what makes you unique. Show me why I need to care, because otherwise I'm probably going to tune out and I'm probably just going to go online and do my own research. So if you're going to do a demo, please make it valuable to me. That was my mindset. And I was kind of harsh because, again, I felt like, don't waste my time. I don't want you to, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I don't want you to woo me and just show me all the fancy things that you can do for me. I want your product to provide value for me. So let's dive into those red flags. The first one to look out for is lack of industry experience. We are such a unique industry, and we have our own set of challenges and requirements. There's fair housing. If a vendor does not know about fair housing, I remember one of the things I was just very blatantly tasked with was finding a chatbot. And of course, I went to go work for a chatbot company after that. But one of the vendors that we did evaluate, that was one of my questions, is what do you do to combat any kind of fair housing issue that may come up? And they didn't even know what fair housing was. And that was a huge red flag for me. You can't sell me something in this industry and not have a plan in place for that. So like I said, vendors who haven't worked in this space, they might not fully understand your needs. And that can lead to misaligned expectations and really subpar solutions. So we want to make sure that we've really vetted that. Another big red flag is overpromising and underdelivering. If a vendor's pitch sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So be cautious. Again, vendors out there, they want to woo you with fun experiences and nice gifts. It's like love bombing. But then they show you who they really are. And if the product doesn't hold up, that is a red flag. So how can you figure out if they're going to underdeliver? How do you even know if that's going to be the case until you use the product? Well, there's a great solution to that. You've got to got to. A/B test. And that is something, if you have a small portfolio, you can do a smaller A/B test. One of the criteria for me was I would take 5 properties against another 5 similar properties. I would try to have variation, like maybe we had a senior, maybe we had a garden style, a lease up, kind of have variety in there if you're able to with your portfolio set. And then I would do a 90-day test. It could be a paid test, it could be unpaid if the vendor allows it, but then you'll really see. Because I would get so frustrated if they would promise me the moon and then the support just wasn't there. That's how you can figure that out. Poor communication with either the sales team or the onboarding team. That's a warning sign if they're inconsistent in communication or they struggle to provide clear answers. One thing I've always loved about the company that I worked for is that they were very responsive. And that's actually what brought me over to work at BetterBot was that I always felt like what I was saying was valued and I was getting a response in a timely manner. I didn't wait weeks and weeks and weeks. It's so frustrating. You can't get anything done that way. Lack of transparency. If a vendor's just saying, yeah, we have that just to kind of appease you, that's a red flag. You need to, and again, you can figure this out during the test period, what functionality is truly there. If they say they integrate, but it's not a full integration that you are looking for, the workaround isn't really what you want it to be, that's a red flag. I mean, of course, there's often times where the sales team may not fully understand the integration because they're not going to be those people who are in the weeds every day. They are trying to sell you a product, and that's fine. That's part of their job, but you've got to know that you have to test things out just to make sure if it doesn't work the way that it's supposed to, does the workaround work for you? If not, bye. That's not going to be something we move forward with on a full portfolio basis. Negative reviews and bad industry reputation. Reviews, it's hard. I think but even when I was on the operator side, I would think to myself, I want to leave a bad review, but I don't want that to reflect badly on me and the industry. So then I just wouldn't leave the review, even though I was frustrated. One thing that is making it better is revise. And I've talked about this before. I've done an interview with Ben Stewart, who's one of the founders of Revise. They do an amazing job at getting industry reviews and being able to help with that compare and contrast because there's a lot of data on the operator side that you're able to look at. As a vendor, you can't always see everything, which I think is good because on the vendor side, knowing how that's like, I don't necessarily want my competition going in there and seeing everything we can do from the back end. But as an operator, you can do a guided demo. You can do a lot of compare and contrast in there. And I had my spreadsheets that I would work with. And that would have been a game changer for me because I would have easily been able to tick those boxes. So, but you can also see reviews in there. And that's why I bring it up because you can see the industry thoughts that people have and then kind of just asking around for their reputation as well. There are certain big companies in our industry that don't have the best reputation, but we kind of just have to go with them because that's what's been mandated. And I would keep an open mind to other solutions that are out there, but understanding that reputation. I mean, even if it is something that's mandated to you in your company and you're like, I don't want to work with this vendor, but I'm being told that I have to, it's fine. You make the best of it, but just knowing what red flags are there so that you can figure out the best way to tackle it and the best way to address that vendor. That's going to make a difference for you as well. You just know what to expect, and that's fine. Lastly, you want to watch out for inadequate support and training. If they can't teach you how to use the product or become an expert, then your team's not going to know what to do with it, and the pilot is probably going to flop. So the vendor needs to be able to support and train you, and that will be an indicator of how they will support and train the rest of your team, whether or not the site staff will be using the product as well. I know there's such a big hesitation to bring on more work for the site team because we don't want to overwhelm them. But again, things are getting better, and there's different solutions out there that are designed to help save time for the on-site staff. And so training them and understanding what it is can really help them make the most of those tools that are there. So here are some strategies that you can also use when you're vetting vendors, when you're demoing. You can ask them for case studies and references. There might be other clients that you can talk to. I know one of the things that I did a lot at my company is creating case studies so that you can actually see the numbers of this is where this company started, this is how their results improved. Because when I can see those tangible results, then I can make a better case for bringing that onto my portfolio. And again, selling up the chain of command because, I mean, a lot of times there are C-suite individuals who have tasked out to others to start vetting the product, and then they're going to rely on that team to have done their due diligence. And as a vendor, you shouldn't expect every time to get directly to that C-suite because there are individuals that they've trusted to do that research. So ask for the case study, ask for a reference. That will give you a clear picture. Then think about trial periods and pilots. Like I said, that will really give you the opportunity to, on a light scale, figure out if they're really going to work well with you and your tech stack and what you have to offer. Ask the right questions. It's okay. Dig deep. If they don't know the answer, they will tell you, the salesperson will tell you, I will find out for you. If they don't find out for you, red flag. So ask questions. If you think of something later, don't be afraid to email. And just tell them you're vetting other people. Be honest and just telling them, hey, I'm looking at a few different options. They might ask you who you're looking at. And again, just be honest. The reason why they want to know who you're looking at is not to necessarily steer you away from them, but they want to know for their own research purposes so that one, yeah, they probably do want to figure out how to sell up against that other competitor, but they probably also want to know so that they can share with product and improve. And when, what is the saying? A rising tide raises all ships. I think that's how it goes. I don't know. I'm going to laugh if I said that wrong. But as one person makes their product better, the rest will follow. So yeah, let's just continue to make it a great place for everybody. Not every product is for everyone. Let's all try to improve. Being honest about that, that's really going to help. So ask the right questions. Don't be afraid to go back and ask too as you think of things. Like you may be in your second demo and see a feature that you may not have even thought was a thing in the first demo. So you can go back and say, hey, I was just doing another demo. Do you happen to have this? Whatever. And then having just networking and joining industry forums like Revise, you can kind of gauge out what you're hearing and making other connections to figure out, is this something I really want to try or I really want to push forward on all of my portfolio? Just, do your research. Building trust with those vendors that you have, it's critical. A good partnership is going to be a relationship that should be based on mutual respect and trust. When you find a vendor you can really rely on that has the expertise, that's really dedicated to providing great service, can really provide long-term success. And at the end of the day, smoother operations and great results. But you do want to remember if something doesn't feel right, it's okay to walk away. Trust your gut. One thing I'll share is when I worked on the operator side, like I said, I tend to get overlooked. And my boss, who was a seasoned industry staple, I don't know if that's the best way to say it, but she had put in her time in the multifamily industry and she was very well respected and she got a lot of the focus, and that's fine. But I would get overlooked because I was shy and I don't know. So one of the things that I just want to shout out is that Robert Turnbull, who is the person that really sold us on BetterBot, one of the things that he really did that stood out to me was he focused everybody who was there. And those are the vendors that I really liked, is that I didn't feel like an afterthought, even though I might have been. He really made an effort to continue conversation with me as well and make me feel like I was part of the conversation and that I was valued. And that really made a huge difference. And that is one of the things that really drew me to going to work at BetterBot as a company. And that I found that the entire company was a reflection of that as well. And that was something that I really loved. Not trying to sell you on BetterBot. Use the vendors you're going to use. But that was one of the things that I was like, oh, hey, this person really cares. And they're not just trying to sell me something it's going to be a lasting relationship. And then I ended up going to work for BetterBot. And that's another thing. If you think you might want to pivot in the industry at some point, consider every interaction and really make the most of those partnerships, because you never know later on what could happen, where you could end up, and what you might learn. So really, I just want to conclude by saying it's important to be vigilant and proactive when you're selecting vendors. It can save you a lot of headache down the road. Watch out for red flags. Don't hesitate to dig deeper when something doesn't feel right. Try to get the full details. Just get as much information as you possibly can. Grow those relationships. And I mean, if somebody is showering you with gifts and experiences, that's great and dandy. It's not everything. You need to make sure the product is really what you need and it's really going to work with your tech stack. And also, don't write vendors off all the way. If you're using a product, be honest. This is one thing that I struggled with on the operator side, is when a vendor, I would do my research, I would be vetting 3 to 5 different companies. And then the part that I hated was when we just made a decision about who we wanted to go with, I had to tell the other 4 vendors no. And that was the part that really scared me. And honestly, I'm going to admit, a few times I ghosted. The sales team would keep reaching out and I'd be like, yeah, that's actually terrible. Do not do that. I learned later on that you need to be honest and just telling the vendor, they're not going to get mad. And if they do, that's another red flag. They're not going to get mad. Just be honest. When it came to the vendor side, I found that we really no hard feelings. They just want to know the answer is yes or no, so that they don't keep bothering you and they don't keep pounding you for an answer and they don't continue to see you as a prospect. If it's not going to work, they just want to know. And they might ask you who you ended up going with. That was always a question that made me feel awkward, because I wanted to be like, or they might say, oh, why was it that you went with them and not us? It's not, at least for us, it was never a tactic to guilt you or make you feel like dumb for what you're choosing. It was more for our information, for wanting to know, okay, this is who we lost to. How do we improve our tactics? How do we improve our product so that we can compete in the market? So it's not to make you feel dumb or guilty. It's just, we want that information for us. And then later on, if you decide, oh, we actually didn't like how it worked with our tech stack, or we didn't like the full onboarding process, or we didn't like the billing, or XYZ, whatever, it's time for us to choose another vendor, then we can kind of slide in there. But it doesn't have to be forever. I don't know. I've worked on both sides, like I said. So there have been areas where I'm like, cut us some slack. And then there's areas as an operator where you're like, leave me alone. Stop bothering me. Stop hounding me. But really, honesty is the best policy. Just try to be as honest as you can. And if the vendor can't accept that honesty, then that's a red flag. And okay, then we're not going to work together moving forward. And I have that in my back pocket. I have that in the back of my mind. But you can usually tell the people that work at that company if they're genuine or if they're just your run-of-the-mill sales. And I know for me, what was most important was having genuine relationships and really being able to work together, because I found that to be the most productive. But, to each their own. That's all I'm going to say. Anyways, hopefully I wasn't just rambling. I hope that validates some of you and reminds you that it can be uncomfortable. It can be scary. It can be tedious when you're selecting vendors, but it doesn't have to be. It can actually be a beautiful thing. It can be a beautiful partnership, and it can really result in some great takeaways for you and the company that you work for. But anyways, okay, that's everything. Please stay in touch, listen to more of Tiff Talks Tech, and connect with me on LinkedIn and my website. Feel free to reach out and stay tuned for next time.